The large meeting chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with tension. Representatives from over 300 species sat in tiered seating around a central platform where Ambassador Nira stood firm. Her blue-tinted skin glowed slightly under the chamber lights as she faced Commander Zivik of the Artaxian Empire. "The human world is forbidden territory," said Nira. Her voice was calm but left no room for debate. "This has been our law for 200 years. Earth remains under protection as a sleeping world." Commander Zevik walked in a slow circle around her. His tall, muscular frame towered over the ambassador. The metal plates embedded in his gray skin reflected the light with each movement. "Laws can change," said Zevik. "My empire needs resources. The Sol system has plenty. Why should we avoid it because of some sleeping creatures?" The chamber quieted as Nira touched a control panel. A hologram appeared showing a planet with blue oceans and green-brown land masses. "This is Earth," she said. "Home to the species known as humans." Zevik waved his hand dismissively. "A primitive world. Our scans show minimal technology and no space presence." "That is by design," said Nira. She pressed another button. New images appeared showing ruins of cities, dead forests, and dried seas. Humans nearly destroyed themselves in the climate wars of their 22nd century. What you see now is the result of our intervention. A council member from the back called out, "Tell him about the containment policy." Nira nodded. "After their wars, we helped stabilize their world's environment. But the council voted to quarantine the planet. Not to protect the galaxy from them, but to protect them from us until they were ready." Zevik laughed. "You speak of them like they're dangerous. Look at their world. They couldn't even save themselves." "That is where you are wrong," said Nira. She changed the hologram again. This time it showed images of human history, their wars, their explorations, their rapid technological advancement. Humans evolved on what they themselves called a death world. Their entire history is one of survival against impossible odds. They developed space travel barely a century after first flight. They split the atom and then visited their moon within the same century. The council chamber remained silent as the images continued. Humans fighting wars. Humans building cities in deserts. Humans diving to the bottom of oceans. Humans climbing the highest mountains. They are evolutionary anomalies. Nira continued. Most species take millions of years to adapt to new environments. Humans adapt within generations, sometimes within a single lifetime. Zevik crossed his arms. "If they're so impressive, why did they fail?" "They didn't fail," said Nira sharply. "They were too successful. Their progress outpaced their wisdom. But make no mistake, they were on the verge of becoming a galactic power when they turned their technology against their own planet." She walked closer to Zevik. Though she was smaller, she showed no fear. "The warning I give you is simple. The humans are not extinct. They are sleeping. We helped the last of their leaders implement a survival plan they called Operation Endurance. Their best minds, their strongest warriors, their most brilliant scientists, all preserved in suspension, waiting." "Waiting for what?" asked Zevik. "For a reason to wake up," said Nira. "The humans knew they needed time. Their caretaker systems run the planet now, healing it slowly. If you disturb this process, if you give them reason to think they're under threat." She paused. "Humans do not understand surrender. They've fought wars where they used stones against energy weapons rather than give up. Deep below the surface of Earth, in a facility carved into the rock beneath what had once been called Denver, rows of metal pods lined a vast chamber. Each pod contained a sleeping human preserved in perfect suspension. In the center of the facility, a sophisticated computer system monitored everything. This was Guardian, an artificial intelligence designed to watch over the sleepers. It had done so without pause for generations. Its sensors extended throughout the solar system, watching, waiting, and learning. In the main cryogenics chamber, the pod labeled Captain Abigail Winters, Special Forces Command, sat among thousands of others. Inside, a woman with dark hair and olive skin slept dreamlessly. Her last memories were of a dying world, of being selected for Operation Endurance, of saying goodbye to her family knowing she might wake hundreds of years later, or never wake at all. Near her pod was another marked Lieutenant Frank Delgado Tactical Operations. More pods stretched in all directions, containing soldiers, scientists, engineers, doctors, farmers, teachers, a carefully selected cross-section of humanity, chosen to rebuild if necessary. Guardian systems hummed quietly. A status report appeared on a screen. Environmental restoration. 67% complete expected time to natural awakening. 43 years. External threat detection. Negative system integrity. Optimal in a separate chamber. A dozen pods contained the original architects of operation. Endurance. These humans had chosen to sleep last after seeing everyone else safely stored. Their pods were marked with the highest priority for revival in case of emergency. Meanwhile, in orbit around Jupiter, Commander Zivik's scout ship emerged from faster-than-light travel. Despite the Council's warnings, the Artaxian Empire had decided Earth was too valuable to ignore. Their long-range scans had detected rare minerals in the system's asteroid belt and unusual energy signatures from the third planet. Begin survey. Operations, Zivik ordered his crew. Keep a low profile. We don't need to alert the Council. His second-in-command, Officer Kral, looked nervous. Commander, what about the warnings? The sleeping humans? Zivik laughed. Old stories to keep valuable worlds out of reach. If these humans were so dangerous, they wouldn't be hiding underground. We'll be careful, but I won't pass up these resources because of Council superstition. The Artaxian ship moved deeper into the solar system, unaware that its arrival had already triggered a silent alarm. In the Guardian facility, a small light began to blink on a long-dormant console. The AI processed this new information. External objects entering the system matched. No known friendly profile. Their trajectory suggested intent to remain. Guardian began running probability scenarios, calculating risk factors. Deep in her cryopod, Captain Winters remained still, unaware that the first steps toward her awakening had already begun. The war she had been prepared to fight centuries. Ego might finally be coming, and the aliens who had ignored the warnings would soon learn why humanity was meant to be left sleeping. For 3 days, the Artaxian ships moved through the outer edges of the solar system. They set up scanning equipment on several moons of Jupiter and began to catalog the resources available in the asteroid belt. Commander Zivik watched from the bridge of his command ship as his crew worked efficiently. The Council was keeping this system to themselves, said Zivik to Officer Kral. Look at these mineral readings. This asteroid belt has enough rare elements to supply our empire for decades. Kral nodded but looked uneasy. The automated defenses we were warned about, we haven't seen any yet. Because they don't exist, said Zevik with a laugh. The sleeping human story is just that, a story. The Artaxians moved closer to Earth, setting up a mining base on Mars. Their massive harvester ships began to capture asteroids and break them down for valuable materials. Debris from these operations drifted through space, most of it harmless, but not all of it. A large chunk of rock and metal about the size of a small car spun away from one of the mining operations. It traveled on a path toward Earth, picking up speed. The Artaxians didn't notice this small piece among thousands of others. They didn't track its journey or try to stop it. The rock entered Earth's orbit and collided with an old satellite. The satellite had been dormant for centuries, floating silently with hundreds of others around the planet. When the debris hit it, the satellite broke apart. Its pieces fell into the atmosphere, burning bright as they descended. Deep under the surface, Guardian detected the impact. The AI analyzed the situation. The satellite had been part of its early warning system. Its destruction was concerning, but more concerning was the cause. Guardian's sensors now focused on the outer system, detecting the Artaxian ships and their mining operations. The AI calculated the threat level. Unknown ships, resource extraction, destruction of monitoring equipment. The threat assessment changed from yellow to red. In the vast underground chamber of New Denver, lights that had been dim for centuries suddenly brightened. A low hum filled the facility as machines that had been in standby mode came fully online. Guardian began the revival sequence for the primary response team. Captain Abigail Winters' pod was the first to activate. The cryogenic fluid inside warmed gradually. Her vital signs, which had been slowed to near zero, began to rise. Her brain activity increased as the chemicals preserving her cells were carefully flushed from her system. The pod door slid open with a soft hiss. For the first time in 200 years, Abigail Winters took a breath of air. It tasted clean and slightly metallic. Her eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the light. Her muscles, maintained by electrical stimulation during her long sleep, still felt weak and strange. "Captain Winters," said a calm voice, "welcome back to consciousness. Please remain still while your body adjusts." Abigail tried to speak but could only manage a rough whisper. "Where? How long?" A screen near her pod lit up, showing a simple animated face. Guardian's visual interface. "You have been in cryosleep for 207 years, 4 months, and 16 days. You are being revived due to Protocol 7. Protocol 7. Abigail's mind cleared rapidly as she remembered what that meant. External threat to Earth requiring military response. She had hoped never to hear those words. "Status report," she managed to say, her voice stronger now. "Alien vessels have entered the solar system and established mining operations. They have damaged monitoring satellites. Their behavior indicates they are unaware of or unconcerned with human presence." Abigail sat up slowly, feeling blood flow properly through her body. "Who else is being awakened?" "Lieutenant Delgado's revival is nearly complete. Mason Garcia, weapons specialist, is in final stages. Engineer Olivia Taylor and Dr. Daniel Wright will be conscious within the hour. Tactical Officer Samantha Ellis will follow." As if on cue, the pod next to Abigail's opened. Lieutenant Frank Delgado blinked in the light, his expression confused until he saw Abigail. Recognition dawned on his face. "Captain," he said weakly, "guess the world didn't fix itself while we slept." "Guess not," said Abigail. She carefully swung her legs over the side of the pod, feeling the cold floor beneath her feet. "Guardian, show me these aliens." The screen changed to display images of the Artaxian ships. Abigail and Frank watched as the large vessels broke apart asteroids with energy beams and collected the pieces. "They're stripping our system bare," said a new voice. Mason Garcia had awakened and joined them, his large frame leaning against his pod for support. "They think no one's home." Within 2 hours, all 6 members of the primary response team were awake, dressed in simple gray uniforms, and gathered in the command center. Guardian had briefed them on the current situation on Earth, the healing environment, the scattered human settlements living simple lives on the surface, unaware of the sleepers below, or the history that had led to their world's near destruction. "The surface humans don't have the technology to detect or respond to the alien presence," said Dr. Wright, a thin man with keen eyes. "They've been living agricultural lives while the planet recovers. And now these aliens are here to undo all that recovery," said Olivia Taylor, her hands moving quickly over a control panel as she brought more systems online. "They're already contaminating the outer system." Samantha Ellis studied the tactical displays. "Their technology is advanced. Energy weapons, faster than light travel, artificial gravity. But their formation is sloppy. They're not expecting resistance." Abigail stood at the center of the room. "Guardian, what defensive capabilities do we have?" "Operation Endurance included dormant defense platforms throughout the solar system," replied the AI. "They can be activated remotely. The USS Defiance remains in its underground hangar, fully functional. Weapon systems are at 97% capacity." "How many more sleepers can be safely revived at this time?" asked Abigail. "The facility can support full revival of 200 personnel immediately. More can be awakened as resources permit." Abigail looked at her team. These 5 people had trained with her before the sleep. They had been chosen for their skills and their ability to work together under pressure. Now they would be the first humans to face an alien threat. "Let's disabuse them of the notion that no one's home," she said. "Olivia, Bring the defense grid online. Frank, prepare the Defiance. For launch. Mason, I want a full weapons check. Samantha, analyze their communications. Find me a way to talk to them when the time comes. Dr. Wright, you're with me. We need to understand who these aliens are and what they want. As the team moved to their tasks, Abigail stood before the main view screen, watching the alien ships continue their work, unaware that the humans were no longer sleeping. She felt the weight of 2 centuries of history and the responsibility for humanity's future on her shoulders. They were warned, she said quietly. Now they'll learn why. On the Artaxian command ship, Officer Kral studied a display showing unusual energy readings from Earth. Commander, there's something happening on the 3rd planet, he said. Commander Zevik glanced at the readings without much interest. Probably just atmospheric disturbances. That world is still recovering from their self-inflicted damage. These patterns seem artificial, Kral insisted. They began shortly after that asteroid fragment hit one of their old satellites. Zevik waved his hand dismissively. Continue the mining operation. We need to finish before any council ships arrive to investigate our activities. But Kral couldn't shake his feeling of unease. The energy signatures were too regular, too precise, to be natural. He kept watching the readings, noticing they were spreading throughout the solar system. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, the revival center was now fully active. More cryopods opened each hour. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel awakened to a world they had left centuries ago. Guardian coordinated everything, directing the newly awakened humans to their stations. In the command center, Abigail Winters and her team worked quickly. Olivia Taylor's fingers flew across control panels, bringing long-dormant systems back online. Defense platforms are powering up throughout the system, she reported. We have active units near Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, all responding to commands. Dr. Wright studied the biological scans of the aliens. They're oxygen breathers with similar environmental needs to ours. Their body structure suggests they evolved on a high-gravity world. That might explain their physical strength and the, metal reinforcements in their skin. Can they be hurt? Asked Mason Garcia as he checked weapon systems. Everything can be hurt, replied Dr. Wright. It's just a matter of finding the right way. Frank Delgado entered the command center. The Defiance is ready, Captain. All systems operational. The ship has been maintained perfectly by Guardian all these years. Abigail nodded. What's the status of our stealth capabilities? Better than when we went to sleep, Frank said with a slight smile. Guardian kept improving our technology. The Defiance has a cloaking system that should make us invisible to their sensors. Good, said Abigail. Samantha, what have you learned about their communications? Samantha Ellis looked up from her station. I've intercepted and analyzed their transmissions. Guardian has been able to translate most of their language. They call themselves the Artaxians. They're part of an empire that spans several star systems. They came here specifically looking for resources despite being warned by something called the Galactic Council. So they knew we were here and came anyway, said Abigail. They just didn't think we would wake up. Their communications suggest they don't believe the warnings about humans, continued Samantha. They think we're either extinct or too primitive to be a threat. Let's prove them wrong, said Abigail. Mason, what's your assessment of their weapons? Mason pointed to a display showing Artaxian ships. They have energy-based weapons, but their ships aren't heavily armored. They weren't expecting a fight. Their mining vessels are especially vulnerable. Abigail considered this information. Here's the plan. We'll use the automated defense platforms to target their mining operations first. That should get their attention. While they're responding to that threat, we'll take the Defiance and approach their command ship undetected. The team nodded in agreement. Abigail turned to face the 24 other personnel who had joined them in the command center. 2 centuries ago, we volunteered for Operation Endurance because we believed humanity deserved a second chance, she said. We knew there was a possibility we would wake to face a threat. That day has come. We're not just fighting for ourselves, but for all humans, including those on the surface who don't even know we exist. Let's show these Artaxians why they should have heeded the warnings. In orbit around Mars, an Artaxian mining vessel continued extracting minerals from the red planet's surface. The crew worked efficiently, unaware of the danger until a small object appeared on their sensors, approaching rapidly from space. "What is that?" asked the ship's captain. Before anyone could answer, the object, a human defense platform that had been dormant for centuries, opened fire. Energy beams struck the mining vessel's engines. The ship shuddered and began to lose power. "We're under attack," shouted the captain. "Emergency protocols, contact the command ship." Similar scenes played out across the solar system as defense platforms activated near every Artaxian operation. Within minutes, 3 mining ships were disabled, and the Artaxian crews scrambled to understand what was happening. On the command ship, Commander Zivik received the distress calls with shock and anger. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "There are no advanced weapons on this planet." Officer Kral looked grim. "The energy readings I detected earlier, they must have been defense systems activating." "Humans are supposed to be extinct or primitive," protested another officer. "The Council said they nearly destroyed themselves." "The Council also warned us not to disturb them," said Kral quietly. Commander Zevik slammed his fist on a console. "I will not retreat from simple humans. Dispatch our combat vessels to destroy those defense platforms. Find the source of their control signals, and eliminate it." As the Artaxian ships mobilized to counter the unexpected threat, a sleek vessel rose silently from an underground hangar in the Rocky Mountains. The USS Defiance, a stealth ship designed for exactly this scenario, climbed through Earth's atmosphere cloaked in technology that made it invisible to Artaxian sensors. On the bridge, Abigail sat in the captain's chair. "Status report. Stealth systems functioning perfectly," said Frank from the pilot station. "They have no idea we're here." "Defense platforms have engaged all mining operations," reported Samantha. "The Artaxians are responding exactly as we predicted. They're sending combat ships to destroy our platforms." "That should keep them distracted," said Abigail. She turned to Mason. "Are the boarding teams ready?" Mason nodded. 10 teams fully equipped with the new armor Guardian developed. They've all been briefed on Artaxian physiology thanks to Dr. Wright's analysis. "Take us in, Frank," ordered Abigail. "Approach vector to their command ship." The Defiance moved smoothly through space, passing undetected as Artaxian vessels rushed to defend their mining operations. The human ship came alongside the much larger Artaxian command vessel, matching its orbit perfectly. "They still don't see us," said Frank with satisfaction. Abigail stood. "Prepare for boarding action. Our objective is to capture Commander Zevik and secure their ship. The Artaxians need to understand that they've awoken something they can't control." As the boarding teams prepared in the Defiance's launch bay, Abigail checked her own equipment. The armor Guardian had designed during their long sleep was lighter and stronger than anything they had before the cryosleep. The weapons were more powerful and precise. 2 centuries of advancement, she murmured. Guardian didn't waste any time. The AI's voice responded through her helmet. "I've followed my programming, Captain Winters. Protect humanity and prepare for potential threats. The Artaxians are about to learn the results." Abigail smiled grimly. "Yes, they are." The boarding teams from the USS Defiance attached themselves to the hull of the Artaxian command ship. Their special suits protected them from the vacuum of space, as they used cutting tools to create entry points. The Artaxians inside had no idea what was happening until alarms began to sound. "Hull breach in sections 4, 7, and 12, shouted an Artaxian officer on the bridge. Commander Zevik turned from the battle displays showing his ships fighting the automated defense platforms. "Impossible! There are no ships near us!" Officer Kral checked the sensors again. "Nothing shows on our scans, Commander, but the breaches are real." "Security teams to all breach points," ordered Zevik. "Lock down the ship." The first Artaxian security team arrived at breach point 4, just as the humans finished cutting through. Mason Garcia led the boarding party, his advanced armor making him look like a walking tank. The Artaxians fired their energy weapons, but the armor absorbed the impacts. "Their weapons aren't penetrating our suits," Mason reported over the comm. proceeding with non-lethal takedown as ordered. The humans fired stunning weapons that released electrical charges. The Artaxians, despite their metal-reinforced skin, fell unconscious as the charges disrupted their nervous systems. Dr. Wright had predicted this weakness correctly. Similar scenes played out at the other breach points. Human teams moved efficiently through the Artaxian ship, securing sections and taking control of crucial systems. Years of training before their long sleep, combined with Guardians' tactical updates fed directly to their helmets, made them unstoppable. On the bridge of the command ship, Commander Zevik received increasingly desperate reports. Intruders have taken engineering. Weapon systems are offline. Life support is under their control. Officer Crowell looked at the security feeds showing the armored humans moving through the ship. The sleeping humans. The warnings were true. The bridge. Doors slid open. Captain Abigail Winters walked in, flanked by Frank Delgado and Samantha Ellis. The humans kept their helmets on, hiding their faces from the aliens. "Commander Zevik," said Abigail, her voice slightly mechanical through the helmet speakers. "Your ship is under our control." Zevik stood tall, refusing to show fear. "Who are you to attack an Artaxian Imperial vessel? Do you know what our Empire will do when they learn of this?" "We are humans," replied Abigail simply. "And you were warned about us." She removed her helmet, revealing her face to the aliens. The Artaxians seemed surprised to see how similar to them she appeared. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. Though without the metallic implants they all had embedded in their gray skin. "You look so fragile," said Zavik with surprise. "Appearances can be deceiving," said Abigail, "just like the appearance that Earth was defenseless." Meanwhile, on Earth, more humans awakened from cryosleep. Guardian had revived over 500 people now, all working to bring more systems online. In various bunkers around the world, other AI caretakers similar to Guardian were also beginning revival procedures, coordinating their actions through a global network that had remained hidden for centuries. In the New Denver complex, Olivia Taylor worked with a team of engineers to analyze Artaxian technology from the data being sent back from the captured ship. "Their faster-than-light drive is fascinating," she said to her team. "But there are clear inefficiencies in the design. They think linearly. We don't." Dr. Wright led a different team studying the biological samples from the Artaxians. Their physiology suggests they evolved in an environment with stronger gravity and higher radiation than Earth. That explains their denser bone structure and the metal in their skin. It's a natural adaptation reinforced by their technology. In orbit, the USS Defiance now docked with the captured Artaxian command ship. More human teams came aboard, securing prisoners and studying alien technology firsthand. In what had been Zevik's private quarters, now converted to a meeting room, Abigail faced the Artaxian commander. He sat across from her, his hands bound, with energy restraints. "Our Empire will send more ships when we don't report back," said Zevik. "You cannot hope to stand against our full military might." "We don't want to fight your Empire," said Abigail. "We just want to be left alone while our world heals." "Then you should have stayed asleep," replied Zevik bitterly. "You gave us no choice," said Abigail. "But now we have options. Dr. Wright, what have you learned about their communications?" Dr. Wright, who had joined them, activated a display showing a complex network of signals. "The Artaxians use faster-than-light communication buoys to relay messages across their territory. Their nearest outpost is 3 light-years away. We can send a message there that would reach their leadership." "And tell them what?" asked Zevik. "That you've captured me. That will only ensure they send a battle fleet." "We'll tell them the truth," said Abigail. "That you ignored warnings about disturbing Earth, and now you're facing the consequences." She turned to Samantha Ellis. "Have you made contact with this Galactic Council yet?" "Yes, Captain," replied Samantha. "Guardian helped me locate their communication frequencies. They're sending a representative ship. It should arrive within 2 days." "Good," said Abigail. "We'll need a neutral third party for what comes next." On one of the Artaxian ships still fighting the defense platforms near Jupiter, a young officer received a transmission from a previously unknown source. It showed Commander Zevik, seated but clearly captive, speaking directly to the camera. "This is Commander Zivik of the Artaxian Imperial Mining Fleet. I am ordering all Artaxian vessels to cease hostilities against Earth defense systems. The humans have awakened and have taken control of our command ship. They are—" He hesitated, then continued reluctantly. "They are more advanced than we anticipated. Do not engage. Await further instructions." The message spread quickly through the Artaxian fleet. The ships stopped their attacks on the defense platforms and pulled back to defensive positions, waiting for guidance. Back on Earth, in the halls of New Denver, Frank Delgado walked with Abigail as they observed the growing activity. More than 1,000 humans were now awake, with hundreds more reviving each day. "What's our next move, Captain?" asked Frank. "Preparation," said Abigail. "Guardian tells me there are billions of humans living simple lives on the surface, unaware of what's happening up here or of their own history. They've been living in small communities while the planet heals. They don't remember the technology we had or the wars we fought." "Do we contact them?" asked Frank. Abigail shook her head. "Not yet. First, we need to understand what we're now part of. This Galactic Council, the Artaxian Empire. We've awakened to find a universe full of other intelligent species. Before we bring our surface cousins into this, we need to secure our position. And if the Artaxians don't back down?" Abigail looked at him seriously. "Then we show them why the Council warned them not to wake us up. 6 months passed since the humans woke up and captured the Artaxian command ship. In that time, much had changed. The Galactic Council, after sending representatives to meet with Captain Winters and her team, had formally recognized Earth as an independent world with rights to its entire solar system. The Artaxians had withdrawn their remaining ships, though not without protests and threats. In a large circular chamber on a space station orbiting a distant star, Captain Abigail Winters stood before the full Galactic Council. She wore a formal uniform designed to blend human military tradition with styles acceptable to the various alien species watching her. The chamber held representatives from over 300 worlds, all curious about the humans who had defeated an Artaxian mining fleet with just one ship and a few defense platforms. "Earth does not seek war," said Abigail to the assembly. "We never have. We prepared for it because our history taught us to expect it. Now we seek partnership with the Council and all peaceful worlds, but never mistake our cooperation for submission." Ambassador Naira, who had warned the Artaxians not to disturb Earth months earlier, nodded in approval. She had become an ally to the humans, helping them navigate the complex politics of galactic civilization. "The Council recognizes Earth as a sovereign world," said the Council leader, a tall being with iridescent skin. "The quarantine is officially lifted. Humanity may take its place among the stars." After the Council session, Abigail met with Ambassador Naira in a private chamber. They had formed an unlikely friendship during the negotiations. "Your people have adapted remarkably quickly," said Naira. "In just 6 months you've mastered technologies that take most species decades to understand." "We had a good head start," replied Abigail. "Guardian spent centuries studying and improving our technology while we slept, and humans have always been good at adapting." "Too good, some would say," noted Naira. "There are those in the Council who fear what humanity might become in 100 years. The Artaxians certainly do. The Artaxians should have listened to your warning," said Abigail with a small smile. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the revival of the sleepers continued. Over 10,000 people now lived in the New Denver facility, with similar numbers awakening. In other bunkers around the world, engineers like Olivia Taylor worked to integrate human and alien technology, creating new systems that sometimes surprised even their alien visitors. In a large laboratory, Olivia showed Dr. Wright her latest creation. It was a small device that seemed to shimmer slightly as though not quite solid. "It's a modified version of the Artaxian faster-than-light drive," she explained. "But I've reconfigured it using some principles Guardian developed. It's 30% more efficient and requires half the power." Dr. Wright examined it with appreciation. The Artaxian engineers who visited last week would be jealous. They still can't figure out how you improved their designs. They think too linearly, said Olivia. They follow patterns that worked before. Humans are good at making creative leaps. On a different level of the facility, Frank Delgado had established a defense academy that was already training both humans and a small number of alien visitors. The academy focused on the unique fighting styles and tactics that humans had developed over centuries of conflict with themselves, now adapted for space warfare. The key is unpredictability, Frank told his class, which included 3 young Artaxians sent as part of the peace agreement. Your tactical computers follow logical patterns. In battle, sometimes the illogical choice is the right one. The Artaxian students looked confused but took careful notes. They had been among the first of their kind to recognize that humans had much to teach them. In orbit around Earth, Mason Garcia supervised the construction of Earth's first true space station. It combined human designs with technology from various council races, creating something unique in the galaxy. The station would serve as Earth's primary contact point with other civilizations, a neutral meeting ground. Another support beam here. He directed a team using construction robots. We want this section to be particularly strong for the artificial gravity generators. One of the alien engineers working alongside him, a being with 6 limbs and green skin, commented, "Your designs are unusual but effective. You build redundancies into redundancies." "We like backup plans for our backup plans," said Mason with a grin. "It's how we survived our own history." Back on the Artaxian homeworld, Commander Zivik, who had been returned as part of the peace negotiations, stood before his empire's leadership council. Though he had been demoted for his failure, his first-hand experience with humans made him valuable. "They appear like us, fragile biological beings," he told the council. "But they think differently. They see possibilities where we see only obstacles. They were ready for us because they prepared for threats they couldn't even imagine, centuries in advance." "Are they a danger to the Empire?" asked the Artaxian Emperor, a massive figure whose metal skin implants covered nearly his entire body. "They could be," admitted Zevik. "But I don't believe they want to be. They want to rebuild their world and explore. If we leave them alone, they will likely do the same for us." "And if we don't?" asked another council member. "Then we will lose," said Zevik simply. "They defeated our mining fleet while barely awake from centuries of sleep. Imagine what they could do now." On Earth's surface, far from the underground complexes where the sleepers lived, Abigail Winters walked through a small village. The surface humans lived simple lives, farming and building with basic tools. They knew nothing of space travel or aliens or the advanced civilization being rebuilt beneath their feet. An older woman approached Abigail, who wore plain clothes to blend in. "You're a stranger here. Are you from across the mountains?" "Something like that," said Abigail with a smile. "I'm just passing through, learning about how people live." "Well, you're welcome to stay for our harvest festival tonight," said the woman kindly. Abigail thanked her and continued walking. Guardian had advised a slow, careful approach to reintroducing advanced technology to the surface dwellers. Much change too quickly could be harmful. For now, they would watch and protect from the shadows. That evening, as Abigail prepared to return to New Denver, she stood on a hilltop overlooking the village. Lights twinkled in the simple homes below, and somewhere music played. Above, stars filled the clear sky. But now she knew what was out there among those stars. Friends, enemies, and countless civilizations to discover. Her communicator beeped softly. It was Ambassador Nira. "The Council has approved your proposal," said Nira. "A joint human Artaxian mission to explore beyond the galaxy's edge will launch next month." Many thought it impossible to get humans and Artaxians working together so soon. "Nothing is impossible," said Abigail, looking up at the stars. "That's the lesson everyone learns about humans eventually. We were meant to be left, sleeping. But now that we're awake, the galaxy will never be the same."